Hello and welcome to Angry Andy Reviews, and this is my review for Ahsoka, parts 1 and 2.
Angry Andy.
Angry Andy Reviews.
Angry Andy. Angry Andy.
Angry Andy Reviews.
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 Don't make me destroy you.
So yes, the first couple of episodes of Ahsoka have dropped. They are on Disney Plus as we speak, and well, what can you say? It's a spin-off sequel from The Mandalorian from Rebels, featuring Ahsoka, and we're treated to a nice, lovely scroll at the beginning. Not the classic scroll, Star Wars scroll as it is, but more like a Blade Runner looking title scroll with brief information about the state of the New Republic. Spoiler warnings from here on out. We jump right in. We are treated to the visuals of a New Republic cruiser blasting across the stars, looking to reach a rendezvous point with Home One. Home One being the ship that featured in Return of the Jedi, in command of Admiral Akbar. There's a little bit of a connective tissue for you.
It's a trap.
How exciting. A ship drops out of light speed and makes itself known, saying that there's two Jedi on board that wish to come on board and speak to the prisoner being Lady Morgan Elsbeth, who was previously captured by Ahsoka Tano in Mandalorian Season 2. If you forget or have forgotten that, I do not blame you. It was one episode. Obviously, it was the episode that featured Ahsoka Tano quite prevalently. But yeah, there you go. So that's where we are. The captain says, nah, don't believe that they are Jedi, but let them on board anyway for a laugh. Why? Don't know. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Somebody's turned around, identified themselves as two Jedi. You say you don't believe them, so you bring them on board anyway.
Stupid boy.
His second in command goes, who are they? And he says, I don't know. And why would he know? He hasn't got a frigging clue. But he lets them on to this cruiser, hubris at its max. Perhaps that's what they're showing about the New Republic in this. I'm not sure. But lo and behold, the two people do reveal themselves to be Force-sensitive individuals. One of them being Baylan Skoll, who turns out to be a former Jedi, now working as a mercenary, and his apprentice, Shin Hati. They absolutely destroy the New Republic ship. Everybody on board gets killed, and they free Lady Elsbeth, who tells Baylan Skoll that Ahsoka Tano is out looking for a map that will take her to Grand Admiral Thrawn. We cut to Ahsoka on a random planet doing some Indiana Jones shit. There's a bit of Fifth Element vibes in there as well, but yeah, she full on Indiana Jones shits the lookout for this map. She uncovers this map, which is a lovely golden sphere. She hasn't got a clue how to open it. She doesn't know what it means. The droid she's with, Hyang, I think it is, hasn't got a clue either. So they try to leave. Two droids, several droids attack. HK droids, assassin droids, and Ahsoka promptly beats the living crap out of them. Not before they do a Predator thing and destroy themselves and obliterate the entire site. Luckily, Ahsoka manages to escape because the plot says she has to. So yes, as they're leaving, they travel to the New Republic fleet and meet up with General Hera Syndulla. There's another name from Rebels. If you're not familiar with her, good luck to you, because that's what we're doing. And Syndulla basically says, nah, I ain't got a clue either. Best person to speak to is Sabine Wren. So they go to Lothal, a planet previously made reference to and shown quite prominently in the Rebels TV series. So again, if you've not seen Rebels, oh dear, you're in for a rough ride. Ahsoka tells Ren, if you can unlock it, it's best that you stay here and do so. And Ren's like, nah, I'll go somewhere else and figure it out in a bit of quiet. There's a bit of back and forth between Ahsoka and Ren. We're not quite sure what's going on. There's a bit of previous master and apprentice falling out vibes going on, but we're not really given too much information than that. They kind of just look at each other and bugger off. Ren promptly escapes and goes on her own way. Just as Ren goes to unlock the map, she's confronted by the apprentice Shin Hati and more HK droids. Ren fights Shin Hati, and the choreography is pretty good. The choreography's been good so far in terms of lightsaber dueling in this episode. Ren is promptly wounded, unfortunately, and the droids destroy all her work and steal the orb of mappingness. And there we go. That's where the episode ends. Ahsoka arrives just in time, but unfortunately Ren is injured. And that episode ends. We move on to part 2. Ren is recovering. She's only been stabbed in the stomach again. Poor Qui-Gon Jinn. What did he have to do to survive being stabbed in the stomach? It seems like everybody survives being stabbed in the stomach in Star Wars these days. But hey, at least she aimed to the side. But what do I know? Ren basically says she unlocked the device and saw that the map leads to a distant galaxy. Oh my god, we're going to be going somewhere completely different in Star Wars, hopefully. And basically is able to track the droids to a factory on Corellia, magical Corellia, where the famous Han Solo was born. So they go to Corellia with, Ren doesn't, she's still injured. She gets told, nah, you gotta stay there, sit down and shut up. So Hera Syndulla and Ahsoka travel to the Corellian shipyards just in time to see a massive hyperdrive being built for Lady Elsbeth's ship being taken away. So they're like, okay, the Empire's still at work here. We've got to stop them. So they do a little battle. They have a little fight between an Inquisitor, who is a Marok, I think. Again, really good choreography. Like the choreography. It's going well. It's bright. It's not dark like Obi-Wan Kenobi. And the transport escapes, unfortunately, but not before Chopper, the droid of Hera Syndulla. Again, if you're not familiar who that name is from Rebels, unlucky for you, I guess. He manages to put a tracking device on this ship, which blasts away. Ahsoka is contacted by Ren after Ren has been spoken to by Hera Syndulla, who basically says, look, you need to be an apprentice again. Pull yourself together. It's time to grow up. And if you're going to be looking to try and rescue Ezra Bridger and stop the retrieval of Thrawn, then you need to be Ahsoka's apprentice again. So there's a bit of eye-to-eye contact, a bit of unspoken words, and of course, Ren becomes Ahsoka's apprentice once again. Elsbeth is contacted by Skoll and basically said that the hyperdrive is ready to go, and of course they can make their way to this, I don't know, this lane, this hyper lane. I don't know. What do they use? How do they get to this other galaxy? I guess we're going to find out. So that she can finish building a ship, and she does so. It's massive. It looks like a big, what the Jedi used in, in the Clone Wars, the hyperdrive velocity thing, it's a big circle thing. You know what I mean. If you don't know what I mean, good luck to you. Because that's what we're doing. And there we go. We kind of end there, where Ahsoka is en route to stop Baylan Skoll and Lady Elsbeth from getting the ability to use this hyperdrive to get where they want to go to retrieve Thrawn. And there it is. There it is. There is a lot going on in this first couple episodes, and that is probably the best thing to say about the episode. It's not slouching about, it's not drifting about, it's not meandering, which is good. It is getting on with things relatively quickly. However, despite the fact that this show, is really well choreographed, it looks beautiful. We're seeing some vistas that we're not really familiar with, and yet, brought into live action with Lothal and other locations. It does feel very Arthurian. The atmosphere is really quite dark and oppressive, but there is still, you know, an element of legend in the way that it feels. I don't really know quite how to explain that. The acting is pretty good. The villains are, you know, mysterious and intriguing. Who is Balin Skull? We know that he is, you know, a former Jedi, a fallen Jedi, from the Clone Wars era. But who is his apprentice? She has this weird sort of, not vacant look, but this sort of distant look in her eyes, as though she's not really quite sure of the gravity of everything that's going on. She started asking questions within the second episode. You know, what happens when we retrieve Thrawn? Where do we go from here? Interesting fucking questions from somebody who seems like she's being used as a pawn. Is Balin being used as a pawn? Has he already gone too far? He himself raises a few questions about, you know, what's to come and how they're going to achieve things. What is his endgame? I'm not really quite sure, but you know, we'll just have to see, won't we? Interestingly enough, though, I do think, and this is where the struggle is going to be with this show. If you haven't seen Rebels before, if you haven't invested fully in, you know, the Ahsoka character in the Mandalorian show, how are you going to understand any of this, really? And that's the difficulty. Watching this with somebody who had no knowledge of Rebels at all was pretty difficult. To the point where, unfortunately, my missus ended up switching off completely from this. She didn't know where she was, who she was looking at, what the characters were, and you know, it was up to, is this what's going to happen? It's very niche, is what I'm trying to say. Rebels was very niche. There's going to be a lot of audience members out there, general audiences that aren't really sure of what's going on, because the connecting relationships, the character beats, the motivations all stem from Rebels. They all stem from that show and factor in to what's going on with the current state of play with these characters. The little intricacies, as brilliant as they are, because the characters are already there in theory, as brilliant as they are, for a new audience member, for those that are uninitiated with Rebels, you're thrown into it and expected to understand the character dynamics, the character motivations, the beats. Without a basic knowledge of Rebels, you simply won't have a clue. I think, anyway. And that's just from me talking to my missus. If you're a random fan that doesn't have anybody to turn to and go, who the actual fuck is Thrawn? Who's Ezra Bridger? Where do you go? I mean, obviously you can look on Google, but you're taking yourself out of it by doing so. Should you really have to go away and do research to understand the show? No, I don't think you should. I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's right. But again, how do you address that without dumping exposition left, right, and centre? The show, the first two episodes are pretty good at sort of layering, you know, the character dynamics. You know, why is Ren so distant from Ahsoka? Why is Ahsoka so distant from Ren? It's difficult, but I don't know how we're going to address that going forward. For those lifelong fans, however, this is probably it's a dream come true, I guess, because all the key factors are there, all the visuals are there from Rebels, from even the Clone Wars degree. We're getting lovely little callbacks and mentions and whatever that don't feel oppressive, and I don't mean in terms of like really heavy hardcore cameos or references. We don't have anything of that yet. It is feeling like its own sort of journey, its own sort of microcosm, which is good, and the prospect of going somewhere that we've never been before, this idea that you can travel from one galaxy to another, is something that's not been explored before in Star Wars. So there's this sense of unique wonder potentially there for this show, which would make it really stand out as compared to other shows, compared to other Star Wars material. And that might be the key to its success. If it does present something that really is completely different to what we've seen before, it may well stand on its own 2 feet. And my own sort of concerns and worries might well be blown out of the water for those that, simply haven't been given or simply haven't, watched Rebels before. All that might come to nothing. It might mean nothing by the end of the show. Hopefully that is the case, because it's centered around, a group of characters that do feel fresh, they do feel unique, they look unique, they sound unique, they act in different ways, they act uniquely to each other. There is a lot of potential here. Whether it reaches that height or not will be dependent on the strength of the writing. And it's okay. It's okay, the writing so far. There's nothing really been too sort of, I don't know, questionable. Some of the dialogue it's a little bit thin, but it's servicing the plot well. Like I said, the plot is quite brisk. It's getting on with it. It's not trudging around. It's not fumbling its own story, its own narrative. It's not presenting characters that are just completely unlikable. Every little character that we've seen so far seems to have their own motivations, their own purpose, and it feels genuine. It feels genuine when you look at other shows, maybe like parts of The Mandalorian season 3, Kenobi. Some of those character motivations, some of those beats and the performances weren't there at all. Absolutely were not there at all. But this feels a little different. It feels as though we're getting little flecks of early Mandalorian, little flecks of the intensity of Andor within this. But it does have, purely because of the requirement to have that knowledge of Rebels, and I will say it is a requirement, it's a prerequisite. It takes your interest for granted. Completely takes your interest for granted. For casual fans, they may just well go, well, I ain't got a fucking clue what's going on. I'm out of here. It's a distinct possibility. But, in that complexity, do you not breed, something that makes you lean forward and focus and concentrate and listen to? Is that not the idea? If it is, then stick with it. But there you go. That's the first 2 episodes. I'm not going to waffle anymore. I've given plenty of spoilers here. Like I said, the choreography's good. For a change, it's bright. You can see what they're doing, unlike Kenobi. You can see the fight choreography, and I'm one for fight choreography with swords and lightsabers and everything. I like it to be, on point and brisk and purposeful. And in this, it does feel purposeful. It looks great. Cinematography is fantastic. Some of the visuals are great. Some of the shots are really, really well done. The music is quite intense and interesting. The villains, like I said, are intriguing and mysterious. I am interested to know more about Baylan Skoll, about his motivations, and what drives him to become this person he is. I'm not really sure about Lady Elsbeth. I think she's a bit of a wet lettuce, but again, she is part of this old Night Sister coven. Again, one of my favourite characters was a Night Sister, so Sarge Ventress, that is. So there are intriguing things here for hardcore fans, maybe not for casual fans, but we'll see. Parts 1 and 2 done. Part 3 will be next week. So let me know your thoughts on these first 2 parts of this 8-part series. What do you think about it? How do you feel? Are you a hardcore fan? Do you understand what's going on? Are you a casual? How is this working for you as a casual? Let me know in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video and you've made it this far into the video, please do give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more reviews like this, and to also see the slow development of the Fortress of Rage before your eyes. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.